Hey everybody, this is The Metal with a nighttime vlog. It's been a long time since I've done something like this. I actually used to do these all the time. If you go like way back in my channel history, this was primarily what I did. Was I was walking around at night in areas that were lit well enough and just talking to the camera for anywhere between like, I don't know, 8 to 15 minutes, depending on what I felt like. Because it deals pretty well in low light. This is a, I guess, fairly well lit area. You can see street lights everywhere. It's a good street for doing something like this on. But it handles it better than my phone camera does. My phone camera, you'd barely be able to see anything, even with all the street lights and stuff. But, you know, we're having a good time already. I need to go for a walk. I didn't get one earlier today, because I woke up really late, and then I had to start, you know, getting things set up for the Vomitorium, because we're daily now. I don't know if you guys have been catching the Vomitorium weekday show, but for an hour of day, every weekday, so Monday through Friday, from 8 to 9 p.m. Central Time, we are having a show where we just talk about like a random topic or two. It's not long enough to talk about the amount that we do on the Saturday show, but it's fun. It's not stressful. I feel like I can handle it, but running a 3-hour show for 2 different times a week, and then also having the Roleplay tabletop stream that we do every single week on top of that was just a little much for the other people who do things with me. And having just a 1-hour show every single day is it's a pretty good balance. You don't run out of things to talk about. You don't run out of energy. Speaking of the tabletop stream, on this last Sunday, we actually went for what I would consider an actual length of a what would you call it? A tabletop session. And we streamed for nearly 8 hours straight, with only a couple breaks or so playing the game. It's good. Typically, the way I see tabletop games, and it's how I've done in the past, is you're dedicating the whole game, the whole day to that. That's just your entertainment for the day, right? And I think I've talked about this here on my channel. And you get up, you eat breakfast, you go out, you start playing the game, take a break for lunch, and then you keep playing until dinner. Sometimes after, depending on how into it you are. But that's like, you know, if you were to go have a grill out at a park or something, or do a sporting event, whatever you're planning to do, your entertainment for the day, that is that day's entertainment. And role-playing games really shouldn't be any different. It's like the thing you do once a week. And it's hard. You kind of have to build up a stamina for it, right? A special form of endurance. But I think my players, most of them anyway, are finally adapted to it, or are getting close to it. They weren't actually too out of steam by the end of the session. So it was cool. Most of the battle was a boss battle, though, so it was pretty disappointing that was the first session we did that lasted that long. I think they probably 3/4 of the session was just that boss battle or something close to it. Maybe one day they'll spend the bulk of the session in towns or out of towns or stuff like that, just actually role-playing, you know? Who knows? Who knows? But I'm gonna have to go and rewatch that whole thing to see who deserves what amount of bonus experience. Normally, it's something that I would be chalking up on the side while we're playing. Oh, hey, a rabbit. While we're playing, if this was just like a off-air, in-person role-playing session like you would traditionally do. Nope, that is the wrong way. I almost stepped on wet cement. Wouldn't that have been fun? Yeah. But because it's on air, I can rewatch the whole thing at like twice the speed. I could spend 4 hours watching that thing and then figuring out meticulously who deserves what. Because I reward my players for role-playing, as you should. Actually, just a piece of advice to people who do like GM or DM, if specifically you only play, say, Dungeons & Dragons. The bulk of your character's experience, if you're handling with experience, or if you just go with milestones and people level up when they reach certain milestones, that's fine too. That's how most campaigns do it. It's easier to keep track of. But if you are handing out experience, the bulk of your player's experience should come from roleplay. Just in general, that's where it should come from. And you should allow them to be at different levels from each other too. And you shouldn't punish somebody for the quality of their roleplay, right? Because that's not where we're here. Nobody's an actor. I mean, you might have an actual actor on your team who can get into a character and figure out that character's motivations, but you shouldn't reward them more or less than the other players because they're an actor, because they happen to have this talent, because we're all here to have fun. So what you should be doing, yeah, I know we lost all light except for like this vague amount far behind me, but still look how far back that picks the light up. That's crazy. But you shouldn't be rewarding your players more just because they happen to be good at roleplay. You should reward them for the attempt of role-playing, you know? And that's what I do. It's just, for the most part in this campaign, most of the players have not been attempting to role-play most of the time. I think I've talked about this on my podcast, but more people are likely to watch these shorter vlogs, especially people who have been following me for a long time, as opposed to, say, my podcast, which took a huge hiatus, longer than I think I've even ever stopped vlogging, and had only just come back. And we're a bit vulgar on there, or I am. I feel more comfortable being vulgar on there because I'm a vulgar person than I am here. So it's a completely different audience. I don't blame you for not watching it, but I've explained that they've spent well over 100 hours in this campaign so far, which I know is ridiculous, right? That is a huge amount of time to playing a single campaign. That's not like carrying characters across multiple adventures. And I've kind of designed this campaign that way. But in the single adventure or module, whatever you want to call it, they've spent over 100 hours for something that, depending on all that you were willing to do from the prologue to chapter 1, which is kind of a single adventure or module, it was designed to be somewhere between like 30-ish to 50-ish hours total, which is a lot more appropriate for a full adventure. And part of it's because they've decided that the sole way that they want to get experience is by fighting hordes of monsters. I'm still having fun. That's not bothering me. It's not bothering me at all. Might be bothering them. Some of them. I know a couple players have thought about quitting already. But yeah, I've had to have a few talks. I've had a few talks with them recently, especially the action talk, because people weren't declaring their actions, and as the game master, it is my responsibility to make sure people are actually playing the game. And it's not a video game, even though we're using a digital screen to play with people across the country. You have to actually declare what you're doing. Most of what's going on in any role-playing screen, no matter what medium you're using, or role-playing game, no matter what medium you're using, is theater of the mind. So, I don't know. Just advice, don't let your players do that, as long as I have. It's actually kind of weird. I never thought at all I'd ever have to tell players to roleplay or to do shenanigans and stuff like that in town, as opposed to battle. Because in my experience prior to this, I know I've got a lot of really new people, but even dealing with new people before, it's usually hard to get your players not to spend all their time doing shenanigans in town. That's what most people just end up wanting to do. It's harder to get them to actually progress with the story, or obviously you could change the story depending on what your players are doing. You don't want to lock them into anything, but it's usually harder to get your players to do what you want them to do than it is for you to have them run around and just do random things. And I kind of built the town based on that in a lot of the earlier parts of the game, assuming that they would be doing random shenanigans and shit. But that happens to not be the case. I don't know. Anyway, I'm back. I'm at the start of the town, or not the town, the neighborhood, so I'm gonna cut it now before I start getting dogs riled up. So I'll catch you guys later. And I don't know. I always say I'll do this more often, but you can never tell with me. Bye.